Hi, my name is Cheri. Welcome to my stamp studio. Today I'm going to be doing my first just demonstration of a card from the upcoming 2021 catalog. If you missed yesterday, I posted my Facebook Live where I took you through everything that I have so far. So you'll want to see that. And in that one, I ended with the last suite that I showed you, and I made this card. So I have made a card, but it was at the end of the video. But you'll want to see that because I show you everything that I got. I didn't get everything that I could have ordered, but I got a lot. And I put it together through suites. So instead of just the normal unboxing where you kind of just see everything taken out of the box, I did put it together. So you get to see like what goes with what. But this card is on that video, and this paper is my favorite paper in the upcoming catalog. So you'll want to see it. It's like you've walked into a home improvement store. So if you don't have somebody sending you a catalog, then make sure you click the link on whichever format you're watching this, Facebook, YouTube, on my website, and find out how you can get one. Be happy to send you one. So today I'm using, I'm gonna have to look it up. Can't show you the inside of the catalog yet because it's against our thing. It's Flowers for Every Season. This is a super sweet. So there's two stamp sets, some dies. I'm using the one with the punches. So this is called Jar of Flowers, and it does come with a punch. So I'm going to use this one. During my live, I asked for people to tell me which one they wanted to see next. So this was one that got a couple of different votes. Actually, lots of things got votes, so that didn't really help me out a whole lot. So let me show you some of the elements that we're going to use. This is one of the papers that is from the one I just said that's my favorite paper. So this paper doesn't go with the suite, but I'm going to put that with it. These cards do, and these are in our new in colors. So here's all of the new in colors, and these are our Memories and More cards, and they are part of the suite, so I'm going to use those. So I'm going to put this little piece here in the middle to give it a little country feel. I am going to tell you, I have made this card once, but I'm completely changing it up. Because while I liked it, it wasn't speaking to me. And I didn't feel great yesterday. I had a little bit of a migraine. So it probably wasn't the best day to create. But, you know, my new stuff had come, and I did the live, and I was determined to get something else done. So I just kept going with it, and I should have stopped. Because, you know, when you don't feel well, you also don't feel terribly creative. So the way this set works is you see you have this little punch. So I'm just going to slide it up in here in this Funwood Graden paper. And I've cut this panel here to just fit right inside here, which also I see now because I didn't use these cards before. And I'll show you the card that I made the first time. So just slide this up in here and pop this out. And then if you're using white paper or vanilla paper or a neutral paper, you could also use this to stamp on. But because I'm using a different paper, I'm going to stamp this. And then you can just save this later for a tag or something because that's super cute. Now that I have a couple of those, I might make a card just with those. So let's do our stamping then on this. So I have just the memento. Sometimes, you know, you see the punch sets. Sorry, I have taken a lot of migraine medicine to get over my migraine, and sometimes it gives me a little bit of a brain fog. Those of you that take migraine medicines know what I'm talking about. So I may stumble over some words. But you know, sometimes we look at the punch sets and we're like, oh, I'm going to do this because it's going to be easy. But sometimes our die sets can be a little bit easier than the punch sets. So I'm going to stamp this a couple of times. Once to be this spray that comes out of my jar. So there's that. And then I'm going to stamp it a couple more times, which when you're doing this, then you can always pick the one that's the best. Like if one of them doesn't stamp well, then you can use it. But both of those are fine. But I want some flowers to cut out. So I'm going to do some coloring and some cutting. So there'll be some parts of this video that get edited out, and I'll come back. So I got those. So now I have one for the top and then a couple that I can use for pieces. And then I'm going to stamp the jar. And this is where in my migraine fog, the first time I made it, I didn't stamp the jar because I didn't think I needed it. I thought that I was just going to be able to use. So I'll give you some tips and tricks for this stamp set because it wasn't as easy as I was hoping. I thought, well, I'll start with an easy one. I'll start with the punch set. So the first time I didn't use this, I just used this, and then I stuck my whole card together and it just looks empty. So you do need this to give it some dimension. Don't do it without it. And the first time I also just took my stems, and because I didn't use those, I just put them up at the top so they would attach to the flowers. But they're kind of short. I should have kept, I pulled and I used fuse, so I had to pull the card apart, and then my second card, I'll show you within, is just literally glued back together, so it doesn't open anymore. I didn't want to throw it away because it was a lot of work, but it's not a card that will be sent to anybody. So if this is designed for this lip right here, for these to go here. I didn't have my catalog, it was downstairs. And so I couldn't see what the artist had done to it. So you can see it bothers me a tiny bit that these don't show through here. But if you put these at the top, then it just looks like they're dangling way too much. So it was a little bit, and I sent it to my daughter. I sent it to a couple of my other demonstrator friends, and I'm like, what's wrong with this? And they're like, yeah, those are floating up in the air. I'm like, yeah, they're not even close to the bottom. And so then they suggested that perhaps I stop because I wasn't feeling well. I'm like, no, I'm determined to make this card work. And finally I got it where it was okay. But sometimes if you have a problem with a punch set, don't think this should be easy because it's a punch. Feel free to look and see what other people have done. But now I did get it figured out. So you just these need to stamp underneath that little lip of the jar. And because this bothers me, that's why I've switched up my card today. I'm doing it differently because I don't want to see where those just disappear. Because on my ball jars, I can still see the stems go through that lip. So I'm going to fix that. So we've got this. And then I'm going to use a whole one of these and color that in. And then I'm just going to color some pieces. So I'm going to show you the colors that I'm going to use. And then I'm going to keep coloring. And then I'll come back, edit that out. And I'll come back and they'll be finished coloring in. I do need a piece of scrap paper. And I'm also switching the colors on this because I'm going to switch ribbons. And because I've switched the card back, I didn't use, this is Midnight Madness. Because I'm switching the ribbon to be Midnight Madness. And the first time I used this fun ribbon pack that does come with the sleeve. And the first time I used the gingham, so I went with the green. This time I'm going to switch to the blue. So I'm also switching my marker colors because I wanted them to be a little brighter. So first I'm going to color the jar, and for what I did with that, I did color my stems in the dark soft suede because they do get lost a little bit when you put them under the little plastic faux jar that you're going to stick on top of your shaker. And you know, all of the blends dry a little bit lighter unless you keep coloring them, and I'm not, because I don't want these to be super dark. So I don't want it to be super noticeable that you can't see them through the top of that, but we're going to fix it. And I'm sure there are other ways, but you know, this is my first card, and I have so many other sets that I didn't want to not do this card. And I'm sure other demonstrators, and once I have more time to think about it and I feel a little better, and I'm not on 4 different migraine medicines, that I will come up with something else. So that's the dark suede, and I've just kind of, like, those aren't colored all the way. I don't want it to be stark. So then on my other card, I wanted to have that faint ball glass that are the old green ones. So I have seafoam, and this is the light, and I just took the brush tip and just ever so slightly, because you don't want it to be green, just kind of brush it over. And again, I didn't do the whole thing. Leave some white so it's an airier, lighter thing, and then just take the dark one where it's got these hints of shadow, just brush a little bit more of the dark just over that. And then I did not do this on my other one, but after it was done, I thought it needed a little bit more of water. On the other one, I put like more of the seafoam down here, but this one I'm gonna go for Pool Party, which is kind of our watercolor. I'm just gonna add a little bit of watercolor. Not watercoloring, but watercolor. The color of water down here at the bottom. Just so it gives the illusion that they're sitting in some water. So there we go. So now you have a nice little colored jar. So for the rest of these, here's the colors I'm gonna use. On my other card, I did use lipstick because that's an outgoing color of blend, and I wanted you to remember that you can't get that. But these look really pretty, and right now we can't get to the new in colors, which magenta, which you could substitute for the big rose, the cottage rose on here. So I'm gonna color these, and then when I come back to you, they will be colored. Okay, so here's my flowers. I did a whole spray of them here, and then the other ones, I want one rose that I can cut out, and then the rest of them, I just need all of these other little spray things so that I can make more of a 3D image. So I'm going to cut these out, and then I will be back again. So I'm back. I have all my little pieces cut out. So when you do it, just cut the little pieces of leaves however you choose to, but you want to make sure that you leave these little sections of flower down here so you have enough to tuck under, and you'll see what I mean. So we have the wood piece and our vase, and you want to start with this. So what you want to do is stick this where you want it to be, and then just like a puzzle, you're going to take, this is where I failed yesterday. In our upcoming catalog, we have a new adhesive system, and we no longer have snail. But our new system will be a snail and fast fuse both. So you can pick which one you want. And it's a new, I keep saying a lot, that's a migraine medicine thing. But you'll be able to pick a new Stampin' Up! Version of both and put them in one thing. So fuse has always been my favorite. And so I've been going back to it since we don't have snail either anymore. So you can see I've put this in here. And this is right where you want it to be. So just put that in here. But then when I tried to pull my card apart yesterday, fuse is a lot stronger than snail. So I couldn't pull it back apart. So I've got this where I want it. So just pull this off. Then these are the little shaker, the 3D little jars. Aren't those the most adorable little things you've ever seen in your life? So you can see yesterday when I put this on here and I didn't have the jar outline, it just lost all dimension. But by the time I'd stuck all the card together with my fuse, it was too late to do anything. And so then I had to rip it apart. But you're going to take this. These have adhesives on them. So pull the adhesive off. So first you pull the top one off. There. And then when you stick this on here, just be careful when you drop it in. And it just pops right back in because it's the perfect size of the punch. Then it will adhere itself here. And you want to make sure you get both sides, especially if you're using it for a shaker. Otherwise, your pieces may fall out. So we've got this. And then you're going to take your little shaker pieces. And these look a little bit like water. And they're part of the flowers for every season set. Aren't those pretty? They're like the little miniature versions of the things that you can put in a vase. So you want to take these, because if you put them in here and flip it over, obviously you're going to lose them. I will say that some of mine are on the floor, and I had to refill my jar yesterday because when I pulled it apart and then tried to stick it all back together, they were falling on the floor. And I tried to pick some of them up, and then I thought, yeah, this just isn't worth my time because I wasn't feeling crash hot. So I got those in here. Now you're going to take this other piece of adhesive off. And you don't have to put those in there. It looks cute without them too. But, you know, it's new and it's super cute. And I have them. So why not? And then just put these right back here, just like a puzzle. And then just stick that adhesive on there. And then you can just lift up the corners of these. This will hold most of it, holds most of it on. So you don't have to have any more than the corners of this adhered. And you can actually use glue dots if you want to get this stuck. But you can see just the corners are going to hold it. And because that's all stuck nice and neatly, you don't have to worry about those falling out. You can also put some adhesive on here before you stick this down. But then if you're any crooked at all, then it sticks and you're kind of stuck. So there's this. How cute is that? And then we just have to put those on. I'm going to take a little bit of the cord and just pretend it's tied around here. So I'm going to take some glue dots, which I didn't get out because I didn't use those on yesterday's card. So let me see where I've laid them. So I'm just going to tie a little bow. And this is the trim that comes as part of the suite. So just make a tiny little bow. And then I want it to look like it's going across here. So I'm going to put a glue dot either side and just kind of stick it in right in there, so it's going to grab the twine but not be seen. Kind of like on the sides of the jar there. So stick that there and stick that there. And then obviously if it was wrapped around the jar, it wouldn't have any danglies. So just cut that off. I did think about sticking it underneath here, but because I haven't done this yet on the card, I forgot. But I think you could stick it under here before you put it on your card. But that works, and the flowers are going to help hide some of that. In fact, you could probably get, let's do another one, since I've got this extra piece. Did you know when we wrap these things around our jars? Is there enough glue dot? Yep. There we go. Now there's this twine will separate because it's just two pieces. So it's got a little bit of silver in it, but it's a midnight piece and a white piece. Not midnight. Is it midnight? Moonlight. Moonlight. It always takes a little bit of time to remember the colors, except for magenta, because we've had a magenta in the past. And the new magenta is, I don't remember what it is. The old one was marvelous. And the new one's not marvelous. It's a marvelous color, but it's not the marvelous name. Okay, so now let's just stick these together. This first one here, I'm gonna just kind of bend this up a little bit and grab some dimensionals. That way we'll have some room underneath them to add some of our other pieces. And when you cut the bottom, oops, hope you can tell my green medicine. I don't normally forget to take the dimensional backs off. When you cut those flowers, especially at the bottom, you want to make sure you get right up next to those because you want to get as close to the jar as you can. Then we're going to take the one rose, and again, I'm going to kind of bend that. This time I'm going to remember to take the back off. And just kind of like it was laying down on the table. And then we have all these fun little pieces that are left. I should have gotten one of these that had some empty. And I'm just going to kind of spray these out. So you have a little bit bigger of a bouquet. This is probably too big. But you see what I mean? You want this right here so you have some place to put your adhesive. And then as you stick this under, you can kind of lay it in here and then press it and it will stick. Let's do this one over here. It just makes it fill out your card a little bit more nicely, especially on these bigger cards. And then just push. And who doesn't like a nice 3D flower arrangement? take this one down here. Add it. And then this little leaf right here, which I may end up cutting another. I'm going to put the adhesive on the back. And then right here where my ribbon's kind of showing, I'm just going to cover that up. So I'm going to grab these over here, which is the nice thing. You can see some of these leaves I've left whole and other ones I've cut, because you don't want mirror images everywhere. I'm going to do the same thing to this, where I'm going to cover up that little bit of ribbon. And next time I do it, if we do, I don't know that we'll do this exact card at camp, but we may wrap twine around it. So if I do another version, I'm going to stick it underneath. But there, now it's nice and covered up those little edges that I didn't quite get cut, because I have, you can tell this is not my great pair of scissors, but it's the one I used to cut my box open yesterday, and I don't use my good ones to do that. So I have one last piece. And stick it there. Just lift those up. You can also tell I don't feel great, because if you're close to my age and the whole flash dance thing, I have on an old sweatshirt and it's inside out, which I meant to flip it back around before I started filming, but I didn't. Because you know, when you don't feel great and you put on comfy clothes, I have on comfy clothes and I have them inside out, because that's what we did back in the day. So how cute is this? It's really not difficult at all. It's just a little bit of cutting, which I would have done faster. So some coloring and some cutting, and then putting it together. Once you've cut this piece out, which you're going to have to do if you want to use any kind of back paper, then to just cut the other pieces out doesn't take time at all. I'll show you my other one, which, like I said, I can't open. So for those of you that think that some of us can just design super easy and it's not at all difficult for us, that's not the case. Because the whole card, in order, because I didn't put the jar stamp back here, I had to pull it apart. And I tried to just lift this up, but the fuse doesn't do that. So I had to just take the card apart. So to get it to be a shaker card again, I would have been okay had it not been a shaker card. I could have put a different backing on it, but I had to take the whole thing apart. So to get it to hold the beads back in, I had to just glue it. So it's a faux card. But this is the other ribbon. So they're both equally as cute, just a different color combination. I do like the twine tied around that, but it was going to be too much. That was why I went with this card, because even though I love the gingham's one of my favorite ribbons. I knew ribbon and ribbon. I don't like double ribbons that are competing on a card. I love mixing ribbons if they're all part of the same bow, but I didn't want double ribbon. So there you go. And oh, here's the envelope, because the envelope's super cute. So I'll probably stamp a little spray of flowers here, and I'll put that on my website in the final pictures. And for all of the new cards, if you hop over to my website, if you're not looking at this on my website, then I take pictures of the full stamp set and the punch, and I'll lay the blend colors out that I used, so you can see all of that, since there's no catalog for you to see yet unless you're a demonstrator. If you would like to sign up to be a demonstrator, if you just can't wait, then when you get your starter kit right now, you get a whole box of the new catalogs, and you can pick all of this new catalog stuff in your starter kit. So you get a whole bunch of new stuff. So that's what I have for you today. I think I'm going to do the bird stamp next. I'll show you this one, which has some fabulous dies, because I think it was one of the ones that got a lot of messages to me that people wanted to see. So that'll be my next one, but I'm going to go to the grocery store today and see if I can work some of my headache out before I try to create again. So sometimes you need to feel well before you can create. Everybody have a great day. Bye.